Hi, I'm Rayanne, and I would like to briefly tell you about a phenomenon that my transgender friend Felice recently brought to my attention, namely the ratio of index finger length to ring finger length. I read a few papers on this and also found a study from 2020 that connects transgender identities with the ratio of finger length. Interested? Let's get started. First of all, what is this strange finger ratio? Here you can see a picture of my left hand, and the finger lengths are measured from the skin fold up to the tip of the finger. And then you divide the length of the index finger by the length of the ring finger and get the so-called 2D/4D ratio. And that's what's interesting to us. Why? Because different people with different characteristics also have different distributions of this 2D/4D ratio. This graph shows a smooth distribution of finger lengths for American men and women, and you can see about 3.5 times more women than men have my value. So I have a hand that is rather untypical for a biological male. Of course, digit lengths and ratios vary from person to person, from region to region, and also between different ethnic groups. And if you don't know the research, you might think, how can there be a connection to anything at all? But in fact, hundreds of studies have been conducted over the last 30 years that deal with the topic. And statistically significant connections have been found on all sorts of topics. For example, people with more masculine hands show better performance in sports on average. Left-handers have a different distribution than right-handers. Brain development, developmental disorders, and the frequency of mental illnesses show differences. There are differences in sexual behavior or sexual preference, and also our topic, the issue of transgender, has been subject to research, of course. How does this work biologically? It has been shown in several mammals, including humans, that a fetus in the womb develops differently when it is exposed to higher or lower concentration of male sex hormones. The most important and best known is testosterone. In other words, depending on the concentration of male sex hormones in the womb, the offspring will develop differently, very differently indeed. The skeleton grows differently, and there are proven effects on internal organs and the brain. Since it is very difficult to monitor the concentration of various sex hormones in pregnant women, and you would have to wait a long time to see how a person develops later in life, the 2D/4D ratio is used as a fingerprint for what is happening during pregnancy in the womb in regards to the prevalent hormone balance. And then you can make connections between the hormones that the fetus was exposed to and its subsequent development of various traits. And this is what this is all about. So what connection is there between the 2D/4D ratio, or the concentration of male sex hormones, and the transgender identities? I found a scientific publication on this topic from 2020 that was published by German researchers who evaluated existing studies and collected new data of their own. In their own data, they collected the 2D/4D ratio of people in whom a psychiatric expert had determined their transgender identity, so these are clinically examined and confirmed cases. The authors note that more data needs to be collected, but they found statistically significant differences between male to female transgender men, the pink line, and cisgender men, the blue line, in terms of 2D/4D ratio in the left hand. The women to men transgenders, the green line, also show a shift compared to the cis women, the red line, but the result is not statistically significant for the sample size considered. So what's the summary and conclusion today? Transgender is not a fad of a degenerate generation. Transgender people show physically measurable differences from non-transgender people that are inherent in their developmental history. If you like this video, leave a like and write your thoughts and experiences about the 2D/4D ratio in the comment section below.